I'm sure to say the least, for most of you, this last year, life has become much more complicated. I mean, life in general. But I can't speak for you. For me, life is more complicated, but to me, my religion is simpler than ever. And it shouldn't take something like a pandemic or a crisis to help us discover or rediscover the simplicity of religion and faith. I came in here Good Friday morning, and it's a service of the 7 last words, and the altar's bare, a few thorns on it, a few candles. And I just sat there and I looked at the simplicity of the altar. And I kind of rediscovered the simplicity of my faith. That religion and church and faith should be simple. And Jesus dying on the cross, giving it all for us, is a reminder that our calling every day, and we can't be Jesus, but we can walk in his spirit, and we can take that spirit of sacrifice and giving unto others and help it come alive in the way we treat each other and work together. I get a kick out of Mary Magdalene. She goes to the tomb, and it's empty. And so she sees this stranger in the garden. She thinks it's the gardener. And she goes, "Where have you put Jesus? I want to go get him." I go, "What do you mean, where do you put Jesus?" And then the gardener says, "Mary." And she discovers that the gardener is not the gardener, that the gardener is Jesus. And I keep thinking of those words. Where did you put Jesus? And I ask myself, Don, where do you put Jesus? And sometimes I put Jesus on the back burner. You know, like a lot of ministers, I talk a great game on Sunday, but I don't live it on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. Talk about Jesus, fine. But to live it, that's a whole different thing. Then there are times when I take Jesus and I put him on a pedestal. Then Jesus becomes like an idol. And we turn Jesus into something or someone that he was never meant to be. And Easter Sunday, I'm reminded, the tomb is empty, Jesus died. But all we need to do is open our eyes. And that's where Jesus is. In ordinary moments and ordinary people. Because God puts Jesus inside of people like you and me. It's that simple. It's not difficult. My gosh, I went to school for 8 years to be a minister, to talk about stumps, do toys, and do this. Because religion does not have to be complicated. Take a lot of the rules and the barriers and the names on the signs away and rediscover the essence of who Jesus is. You know, I was thinking of gardeners, and yesterday I saw Ricardo for the first time since the last lawn mowing season. And Ricardo has cut our grass for 30 years. He's here every week for 30 years. And he came by yesterday to start to clean up the lawn and everything to make it look for you on Easter Sunday. And I just looked at Ricardo, and there was something about him that was captivating. He's there all the time. He never misses a day. He's graceful. He's hardworking. And I realize there's so many people like Ricardo in my life that I take for granted. And if I would just step back and look into that person's eyes, I would see the presence of Jesus and God, because he has a spirit that is contagious. And so he's out in front of the church, and I say, "Hey, Ricardo," and I said, "Hey, if I give you 2 extra beers today, will you take out these bushes?" And there are these 2 dead bushes in front of the church. And in Spanish, he says yes. And so he takes his hand, because I was afraid. I was going to get the spade out and dig it out. Well, he takes his hand, grabs the top of the bush, and pulls it out of the ground. And then he walks over here with his left hand, he grabs the bush, he pulls it out of the ground. And then he goes, "How do you like that?" He's a miracle worker. Jesus has come back. But you see, sometimes Easter is a time to step back and to somehow discover and maybe rediscover the goodness in the people that we so often take for granted. And then there's Walma's egg. You know, my guess is that many of you have a Walma in your life. Walma's been gone for quite a few years. She had polio when she was younger. It affected the way she walked, and the way she talked, and the way she carried herself. She lived with her parents, took care of them. Her parents lived with her, took care of her, and there was a simplicity and grace about Walma that was very contagious. And she just loved coming to youth events, and she was not exactly the consummate youth sponsor. I remember one time, Jeff Mitchell was here bringing his mother, and he was there. This is years and years ago. We took a walk at Starved Rock, and she fell, and she started rolling down the hill. And they have those fences about 10 feet down so that you don't roll. And well, she got stopped by the fence. She got up. We took her to the emergency room when we got back to church. I mean, she was hit. The next morning, she showed up in church. She was bruised and beat up, and she wore one of my first All Saints t-shirt, and it was not a good look. And there's Walma's brother right over there, Wally. But it was amazing because her commitment to the church, her humble kindness unto each other, her belief in the goodness of God was absolutely contagious. I don't understand how religion has become so complicated. I don't understand sometimes the guilt and the blame that religion can sometimes inflict upon other people. But I'll tell you, I'm just incredibly grateful to be part of a community like this, where humility and the kindness of Jesus' Spirit runs freely when we are together. That is a gift that I will never, ever take for granted again. Used baseballs, stumps, Ricardo, and Walma. Reminders that all we have to do is open our eyes, and there, Jesus is always with us. Amen. If you're able to, please rise for the creed.